Life can be hard. All of us can feel it. Every one of us has felt it. Hurt, betrayed, gossiped about, lied to, spiritually attacked. But how do we respond to the hurt without becoming the thing that wounded us? This series is a battle plan for the wounded, not a fight with fists, but with faith. It's for those who are trying to hold their tongues while the world tells them to scream. This series is about trusting that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one who didn't say a word because they trusted the shepherd to speak for them. This is confidence under pressure. This is fighting back without fighting dirty. This is turning the enemy's attack into God's platform, changing obstacles into opportunity. This is learning how you and I can truly be silent but deadly. Hold up.
I am convinced some of y'all didn't know that was a joke. So if it's your first time with us and you're going, what is this talking about? Hello, we're in a series called Silent but Deadly. You get it? You get it now? It's hilarious. You should laugh because, come on, church can be fun as well. Aren't you grateful for a place that you can come and have a little fun, take a little bit of a load off? And hey, we're going to make fun of that because when you do a series called Silent but Deadly, if you don't make fun of that, people are going to think you don't know what you're talking about. Like they're going to think, like, I don't understand this series title, and do you not know what it means to everybody else in the room? We do know what it means, and it's meant to be funny, but when we kick this series off, we also made this statement. It's also not just a funny series title with a funny stink to it. What is also powerful about this series is I think it gives us a blueprint for a battle plan that you and I can fight the fights that are in front of us without losing who we are in the process. You and I can be silent but deadly. When people try to drag our names through the mud, we can keep our integrity and still let God fight our battles. That's really the whole gist of this series. We're going to jump into it in just a minute. But if you're brand new with us and we haven't met yet, my name is Eric, and my wife and I get the honor of being the pastors here. And we are in, I think this is week 3, right? And we're going to go for a little while because I believe that in 2025, we have figured out when to speak when we should shut up and when to shut up when we should speak. And I think that's just the culture that we live in. And I want to tell you that from this series and through Scripture, that I believe Silent but Deadly is a battle strategy. Let me play it out like this. I was a couple of years ago, I was coaching my son's 8U baseball team. And we were going into a rival city to play a big rivalry game. Okay, so small town rivalries have a lot of passion. Like you would think ESPN is like at the game filming, right? Somebody's going to be in top 10 sports in just a little bit later on after the game, but there's a lot of passion. We're going into this city, and I'm taking an incredible 8U team into the city. Like we're about to smoke this city. Are you tracking? Right? And I'm not going to hold back. Like we are letting it rip. Some of y'all are going to catch up in a minute, or you're just going to go, this isn't funny. So we go into the city. Now, here's what you need to know. One of the umpires that day was the rec department league for the city that we're playing. And he's an umpire on the field. Everybody see you see the conflict of interest. So first inning comes and we go out. We're hitting everything that's thrown. We're hitting and we're fielding we're making every play. So we go up 15-0 at the first inning, and then we go 3 up, 3 down. Right when we come out on defense, so we are killing it. Well, so apparently this umpire, who is the rec department lead for the city, gets frustrated at the players, right? At his city, and he starts like yelling at them. And he starts going, hey, if we ain't gonna have better attitudes than this, if you ain't gonna have more fight in you than this, then I'm just gonna call the game. And bro proceeds to call the game. We haven't even walked back on the field for the second inning, everybody. So your boy is in the dugout going, whoa, hold on. Like, show me where that is in the rule book. Guess what? You can't. Because it's not a rule when you get mad that your team's getting destroyed that you can just call the game if you're an umpire on the field. Like, that's not how this works. So I go out and we have a friendly conversation, and I'm not like, come on, some of y'all are laughing because you know me. But like, it was a friendly conversation, but I really was going, hey, listen, I got kids on the bench that haven't even played yet. You called the game before we're even in the second inning. These parents paid $45 for these kids to play this year. Right? They deserve a right to play. And just because you're mad and you're upset, you're calling the game. And he looks me in the eyeballs and he says, we're done, coach. Game is over. It's my call. And what I realized in that moment is everything in me wanted to fight. Are you tracking? Everything in me wanted to prove that he was wrong. I had already brought out the rule book in my head. Like, we were going down. We were going to know what we were not going to know in the process, right? And what I realized is that there wasn't a way for me to win the argument without losing something greater than the argument. Because, see, I had eight you kids in the dugout that were watching how I handled the whole situation. And what they needed to see was a coach that was willing to stand up for them. But what they didn't need to see was to watch a coach lose himself in the middle of an argument. So I said, okay, sounds good. We'll be back next year. And I walk on back to the dugout, and I get my team up, and we're rallying them around. I'm like, guys, y'all crushed it tonight. Couldn't ask for a better night. It was incredible. Those of you who didn't get in, I'll get you in next week. I promise. Like, this is, we will crush the team next week too, so don't worry. We'll have a chance to play everybody. And one of these kids on my 8U team looked at me in the eyeballs and they said, Coach, you a real man. And in the moment, I didn't really know what that meant and or if it was a compliment, but I took it as a compliment. And I was like, you're right, I'm a real man. Right, and to this day, right, those kids are 2 years older now, and to this day, I walk in and it's like, hey, real man. Right, some of the coaches on the team are still saying real man. And what I recognized in the moment is what not just coaches need to realize, but what Jesus followers need to realize is there's a famous theologian that made this line. His name was Kenny Rogers. He said, you got to know when to. He's not a theologian. I'm just kidding. And you should probably not partake in the song that he's singing. But the statement is true. You got to know when to hold them, and you got to know when to fold them. You and I, as followers of Jesus, we got to know the fights that we got to take, right? And we got to know the fights that we don't need to take. And I think we're too busy standing up for fights that we shouldn't be standing up for, and too busy sitting down for fights when we should be standing up for those. Right? So in this series, it's not a series to tell you, hey, keep your mouth shut, whatever happens. No. You still stand for truth. You still stand for people who can't stand for themselves, and you still stand for the character and the heartbeat of Christ. But when people come after you, you got a choice whether or not to fight it on your own or let your good shepherd fight on your behalf. Right? I read this verse. I want to bring it to your attention. Romans chapter 12, verse 21. There's a little context that you got to understand here. But it makes this statement. It says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Now, listen to me. This is not a command for you to become a doormat. See, I think people look at followers of Jesus and they go, we can treat them however we want to because they can't do nothing about it. No. You are allowed to fight. Right? Jesus said, be angry, but in your anger do not sin, right? You can throw down, but you got to figure out how to throw down in such a way that you can't lose your integrity in the process, right? So it's not a command to be a doormat. It's actually a warning to not fight like everybody else. Because here's the truth. You and I can't overcome darkness if we look like the darkness. Are you tracking? Right? You and I got to figure out how to fight in such a way that we can overcome everything that's coming against us, but still maintain our integrity in the process. Go back to Psalm 23. This is kind of where this whole idea of this series comes from. Psalm 23, verse 2, I want to show you what it says. It says, he, talking about your shepherd, right? He leads me beside still waters. We're going to finish the verse in just a second, but I got to stop. He leads me beside still waters. See, I think sometimes you and I have this mentality of if I do nothing, right, and if I be still, then that looks like I'm not going to do anything about what just got happened, like what just got done to me. Are you tracking? If I'm still in the moment, then that means I do nothing. That's not what it means. To be still in a moment doesn't mean you do nothing. It just means in your head you make up your mind that you're not going to do the wrong thing. And every now and then you're going to have to take a minute. You're going to have to be still to let that thought come into action. Because if you're anything like me, if you have something that comes to your mind, it comes out, right? Just ask the people at the basketball game yesterday. And I know you're thinking I got a problem. Not really. I mean, I do, but it's the same problem all of us got, right? So you got to know when to pick the fight and when not to pick the fight. And being still in the moment doesn't mean do nothing. It just means that, hey, listen, I could snap back, I could clap back, I could crash out, I could post that. I could post it so vaguely that everybody else around me knows who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say their name in the moment. You ever had that happen before? Right? Everybody knows what you just posted on social media and what you're talking about. And you're just going to act like you. If you're going to say it, just say it. If you're going to post it, just post it. That's what the world does. But our goal is to be different than the world. So when I want to post it, I go, hold on, should I post it? When I want to say it, I go, God, does this need to be said? Right? And I can't lose myself in the process. It says he leads me beside still waters. Why? Next part of that verse, it says he restores my soul. Because just because it doesn't come out of my mouth doesn't mean it didn't come into my head. Are you tracking? And don't you know that God knows the thoughts that are in your head? So it doesn't have to come out for it to be wrong. Right? So what happens is in the moment, God goes, hey, I'm less concerned with what's going on around you and more concerned with what's going on in you. And you got that thought. And the thought's a good one, by the way, and I'd probably say it too if I wasn't Jesus, but he probably doesn't say that. That's just my interpretation. But he goes, hey, that can't come out of your mouth. So even though it doesn't come out of my mouth, my soul is still broken because it still thinks it. So he says he leads me beside still waters so that he can do what? So he can restore my soul. Peter says it like this in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 11. It says, dear friends, I urge you to abstain from sinful desires. Watch this wording, which wage war against your soul. Because how many of you know sometimes the greatest war that you and I face is in here and not out there? Right? He says, I urge you to abstain, stay away from the desires, right? That wage war against your soul. So he's reminding you, hey, listen, you're in a war. You're in a real battle. Do you know that you actually do have a real enemy who wants to steal, kill, and destroy everything about your life? Like he is not satisfied until he completely takes you out. So what Peter's reminding us here, hey, stay away from things that wage war against your soul, because God's more interested in what's going on inside than outside. Are you tracking? Because he's not going, I wonder if I got enough power to deal with that. Do you know that's never crossed God's mind? There's nothing that you and I have ever been through and went through that God's going, I just don't know. They should probably handle it. I don't know that I'm cut out for it. No. He's got plenty of power. He's got plenty of control. He's got plenty of strength to accomplish and tackle everything that you and I are fighting against. He goes, but you can't lose yourself in the process. So do not do things, do not give in to sinful desires that wage war against your soul. That wage war against your soul, because the enemy, here's how I wrote it down in my notes for you. The enemy doesn't just want you to lose the fight, he wants you to lose yourself in the middle of the fight. And when you and I lose ourselves in the middle of a fight, we lose every ounce of influence we have in everybody else's life. So when it comes silent but deadly, that's not just a funny statement. It's a phrase that I think biblically you and I can live out. Because if we fight like everybody else fights, then we don't get what everybody else gets, right? Jesus makes this statement, Matthew chapter 5, verse 5. He says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Now, I want to come back to that in just a second, but let's talk about the first part or the second part real quick. They shall inherit the what? So that means they shall overtake the earth. See, here's what I think we've allowed the earth to do to us is the earth has overtaken us and it's turned us into people that we don't need to be. So at the end of the day, here's what I want you to get. The goal is not to win the fight. The goal is to stay the same person God has created you to be in the middle of the fight. Don't win the argument and lose yourself in the process. Don't win the fight on social media and lose every ounce of influence that you have in people's lives. The goal isn't to win every fight, but it is to stay the same person that God has created you to be in every fight. He said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." What's meek? Don't get it confused. Right? Because the world says meekness is weakness, so that's why you should be a doormat and you should just lay down. No. Meekness is power under control. Right? Think about a war horse for a minute. Like back in the day, they're doing battle on horses. Did you know that a war horse will go into whatever the driver is telling it to go into? Like it is not scared, it does not back down, and it will run you over. Come on, it will run you over if you stand in the way. Right? So the war horse is going to go where the driver tells it to go. So all of that power is harnessed by what? Gentle hands. So when you and I are meek, it doesn't mean that we're weak and we lay down and we don't say anything about anything. No. It means power that's under control. It means that I'm going to fight this battle, but I'm going to do it with self-control. Because guess what's the fruit of the Spirit? Self-control. Self-control. I don't want to act like that. I don't want to do those things. I want to say whatever I want to say and be whatever I want to be, but at the end of the day, I know that I can't because it's not my life anymore. Right? The Bible says, make me less and you become more. So at the end of the day, when you and I fight a battle, you and I got to figure out if we're going to be meek in the middle of it or if we're just going to be who we want to be in the middle of it. Right? Meekness is power under control. Now, I wrote this down. I want to share this with you because I think this is powerful. I think you need to know it. Psalm 23, verse 4. I'm going to read the verse, then we're going to go back to it for a second. Psalm 23, verse 4, it says, "Even though I walk through the valley." Now, how many of you don't like to live there? I don't like to live in the valley. I like to live on the mountaintop. I like to live on cloud 9 when everything's going my way. Everybody loves me, and my name is great. I mean, it's awesome. Are you tracking? Right? The place that me and you never like to be is in the valley. When you just got the worst news known to man from a doctor. When you just lost a son, when you just lost a daughter. When your spouse is no longer laying next to you at night. When you sit as a student in your house and all you hear is screaming from mom and dad's room. Nobody likes to be in that spot. And it's the lowest of the low. It's the deepest place that you could ever go. But it's not just the deepest. Look at what it says. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, it's the darkest place. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, even though I walk through the deepest, darkest place in my life, guess who's there? God's there. It says, "I will not fear." Why? Because you are with me. I want to give you 3 things real quick that you need right now. You can write them down because you're going to need it this week. You're going to need it next week. You're going to need it when you hit the deepest and darkest lows of your whole entire life. The moments where you don't feel like you have enough strength to take one more step because of what you're going through right now. You're going to need this. You ready? "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Jesus is always with you. Come on, I need you to understand something real quick. I know you think that you've gone too far and you've done too much, and there's no way that Jesus could possibly love somebody like you. Can I tell you, he's loved you from the beginning, and he has never stopped loving you. And I feel like he would tell you the same things that I would tell my kids. Listen, you can never do anything to make me love you less. And some of you need to hear that today. Jesus loves you, and he's with you. He hasn't left you. You think that he doesn't want to be close to you because you've got your jacked up life all messed up because you've been in control of it. No. Listen, he is there from the beginning. It's the one promise from the beginning of Scripture all the way to the end. Multiple times Jesus tells us that he will never leave us or forsake us. He will always be with us. Jesus is with you. So even in your deepest, darkest moment, guess who's right by your side? He's never left you. You don't see him right now because you took your eyes off of him, but he's never left you. And here's the second thing I want you to know is he's at the very bottom. Jesus is at the bottom. See, so many times we get to rock bottom in our lives and we think that nobody can save us. Can I tell you, Jesus is there. He's at rock bottom. So even in your deepest, darkest moments where you think God has abandoned you, can I remind you today that Jesus is at the bottom. So all you have to do in a moment is look to him and go, hey, I need your help. And then here's the third thing that I need you to understand. When you're at the bottom and you recognize that Jesus is right there with you at the bottom, is to understand that he's going to give you the faith that you need for the fight. See, so many times, so many people give up on life. And you've had it in your family, probably you've experienced it, or you at least know somebody who's experienced it and who's done that, but they take their own lives because they don't think anybody's for them anymore. They don't think they can handle it, and they don't think they can walk one more step. Can I tell you today, in the moment at rock bottom when you recognize that Jesus has been there waiting on you the whole time, that is the moment that you recognize that he's going to give you faith for the fight. Look at me real quick. I know there's something happening on the screen because I can see your eyes. But I need you to understand something. The statement of God will never give you more than you can handle is absolutely false. But the statement that God will never put you through something that he won't give you enough faith for the fight is absolutely true. So whatever you're going through right now, can I tell you, God's put enough faith in you for the fight. But you got to make a decision to go, okay, am I going to live this my way, or am I going to live this God's way? Who am I going to let control my life in the process? Because you've been trying to control it. And how well has that worked? It's messed it up more than it's got it right. And I just feel like as followers of Jesus, if you're in here and you have a relationship with him, in this moment, you got to realize that there is no amount of your name being dragged through the mud, everybody lying about you and gossiping about you. There is no amount of that going on in your life right now that can make Jesus leave you, that can make Jesus not be there at the deepest, darkest moment of your life, and cannot make Jesus give you enough faith to fight the fight that you need to fight right now. When you can't go deep enough and it can't get dark enough, he's always going to be there. And he's always going to be your good shepherd, and he's always going to fight on your behalf. But you're going to have to preach to yourself those three statements. And those aren't mine. I stole them from another pastor because I've been trying to preach them to my life for a long time. As I got to preach to myself, Jesus is always with you. He never leaves you. You may feel like it's a deep, dark valley right now, but guess who's at the bottom? Jesus is at the bottom. He's going to catch you. There's no way that you're going out like this. He'll catch you and bring you back to the top. And then if that's true, then he's got enough faith put inside of you right now that if you'll just fan the flame of faith and let it come back to life, that you can fight this fight without losing yourself in the process. You can continue to be the same person that God has designed you to be and still get through the fight that's right in front of your face. But I'm just going to be honest this morning. I feel like there are probably some people that you came in and you said, okay, well, this is about conflict resolution, how to handle it, how to handle people. But in reality, your conflict is not with people, it's with you. Like you have an internal conflict that you haven't gotten right yet. Whether it's this fact that you're just trying to control your life when in reality you're a lousy Lord. Or whether it's so much thoughts going on in your head that keep you away from just surrendering to the Lordship of Jesus and going, you know what, if you are that good and if you are with me all the time and if you never leave me or forsake you and if you gave your life for mine, you paid my sin debt. If that's who you are and if that's what you do, then I'm just going to give you my life. See, for some of you, it's not a message about how to relate to other people. It's about a message of how to relate to your good shepherd. So with every head bowed and every eye closed, if you will, I want to ask you a question. If you're here and you don't have a relationship with Jesus, come on, this moment is for you. This moment is for you. That right now you've been the shepherd of your own life. And it's gotten you nowhere, and you've been running, and you've been hiding, and you've been trying to do your own thing, but at the end of the day, you're like, I don't know, I can't control it anymore. If you're here and you're just going, I want to let control and I want to let Jesus in, I want to ask you, I'm going to count to 3 in just a minute. And if you're here and you need a relationship with Jesus, you're surrendering the lordship of your life over from your hand to God's hand. I just want you to slip your hand up when I hit 3. All right, we're not going to make you stand or call you down right now. Just from your heart to God's, right where you sit. All right, I just want to see it. I just want to see a moment where you go, I'm tired of being in control of my own life. God, I give you control today. So all the way around the room, you ready? On the count of 3, if you need a relationship with Jesus, you just lift him up. You just lift him high. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Just slip them up. Say, yep, that's me. That's me. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. 5. Yep, I see you. Come on, you can put your hands down. I'm going to lead you in a prayer. There's nothing special about my words. Come on, Scripture says that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Come on, it's a promise from God's heart to your heart in the moment. So I just want you to just repeat these words after me, right there underneath your breath. Just tell him, say, Jesus, I need you. I believe you are the Son of God. I believe you paid my sin debt. I believe you rose again. So today I surrender control. Forgive my sin, restore my soul, and turn me into the person that you've called me to be. I'm done fighting battles that only you can win. From this day forward, I am yours, and you're my shepherd. And if that's your heart, if that's your hand, if that's your prayer today, can I tell you it's the greatest decision you'll ever make?